Hello Flight Simmers, I'm Adam, welcome to P3D. In the next 3 videos I'm going to show you how you can easily create for free TRUEEARTH like scenery products for your simulator. This will work with any version of Prepared or FSX. There's a couple of disclaimers first. That's why I'm making this video, to kind of introduce and that we can set up the programs we're going to use, and then in the next 3 videos we get straight to the tutorial of how to do it. There's 3 programs we're going to use. One's called FS-Earth Tiles, another one's called Ortho XP, P3D, and another one is called SceneProc. Now the link to Ortho XP and SceneProc is in the description box below. Go and grab those first, download them to a folder destination. I really recommend you having a separate space for the projects you're going to create, because it's going to be space intensive. For every sort of 5 gig of data of the add-on, you're going to have to need about 30 gig of working space. So if you've got an add-on that is going to be 10 gig in its final output, you need about 60 gig to work within to create the files necessary to create the outputted final, add-on. So I'd really recommend, in the best possible way, go and get an extra SSD 2 terabytes if you're really serious about creating large areas. What's going to happen is we're going to create photoreal terrain with full autogen, just like TRUEEARTH, just like Microsoft 2020, but it's going to require space initially to work within in order to do it, and it's dependent on the quality of the photoreal that we're downloading and the size of the area. So for the next 3 videos I'm going to choose a small island just so we can see good results quickly. It's also dependent on the data you're putting in. This is all free, so free data doesn't tend to be that great. The open source street map data is being collected by people around the world. So for high density areas, there's a lot of data. For middle of nowhere, there's hardly any. So don't think you're going to be getting everything everywhere. It depends on the data that you put in to what you get out. It also depends on the quality level you select. I'm always going to be selecting the highest quality level, but if you are creating, say, Africa, and I was to select the highest quality level, I'd probably have a 3 terabyte output file, as opposed to scaling it down a little bit in quality and getting like a 1 terabyte output file. So it just depends on what you put in as to what you get out. So like I said, go download Ortho XP. You want the version 1.30 and SceneProc as well. You want the 3.0 version. There is a stable development release on their website, but don't get that because it's buggy. It does have version 6 in it, but it's buggy, so I'm using SceneProc 3.0, and I'm going to be using the version 5. Another thing you need to do is download your SDK kit for the sim you're going to use. So go into your P3D account, get the SDK kit, download it in, and it'll install within the sort of same folder structure as your sim is, just on the outside of it. So I've already done that. I've got my SDK kit in there. So as we can see, number 5, it's this one here. We're going to be diving into this in a little bit. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can set up these 3 programs, so in the next 3 videos we can get straight to doing what we want to do. In the first video I'm going to show you how you can use FS-Earth tiles to download the photoreal terrain, and then in the next video, the second one, I'm going to show you how you can mask out the water to a realistic look rather than relying on the automated process. And then finally in the third video we're going to use SceneProc and Ortho XP to create the autogen. But let's first set up these 3 programs first. So when you to get FS Earth tiles, there is a link to my Discord down below. Jump into my Discord. If you're new to my Discord, you'll be confronted with the rules channel. Just click the A button to unlock 2 more channels beneath the rules channel. Within those channels, you'll be able to give yourself the permissions needed if you select the pilot role to see the free Flight Sim Assets channel. The free Flight Sim Assets channel, if you scroll up, you'll come across FS Earth tiles. Download it to your working space and simply extract it. When it extracts, it will have this folder here. We can delete that now. Inside FS Earth tiles, there's a few things we need to set up. If you scroll down and look for an ini file, here, FS Earth tiles ini, and open it, there's a couple of things we need to set up first. Now, this is going to have my setup in it, as you can see here, but we need to set this up to your PC now. So within the FS Earth tiles folder, create a folder called SAT data, all capitals, and within that folder create another folder called work folder as one word. This is going to help create the working space that you'll need for this project. Now click into the work folder, take the address, click Control C to copy, and then in the ini file just overwrite where it says working folder, overwrite that address and paste it in there. Okay, I'm not going to do it here because I've already set it up for mine, but go back to FS Earth tiles, create another folder called add-on as one word again, and again go into that one, take the address, Control C to copy it and paste it in just here. Once you've done that, you want to scroll down until you see resample FSX SP2EXE. This is the scenery compiler. Now, this tool, FS Earth tiles, that we're going to use was made for FSX, but because the structure of P3D hasn't changed, it will create the files needed that can be used in P3D. But this resample file here, which is the scenery compiler, is totally dependent on the sim you're using. So I'm using version 5 P3D, so I need to go get the resample file from P3D version 5. Otherwise, it will use the FSX resample file, and the shaders and the PBR of that sim, which it doesn't have any, are totally different to version 5, and so it will look very different. To find the resample file, go into the world folder, terrain, and your resample file there is just copy this file, take it to FS Earth tiles, scroll down to the bottom, and paste it in. Now when you paste it in, you'll see here there's a resample FSX SP2. Take this name, Control C to copy it, and then delete that file, and then rename your resample file with that name. So you're basically tricking this program into thinking that this is the FSX one, but if we hover over it, it says Lockheed Martin. And if we go back to resample before FSX, that one says Microsoft. So this one actually is the Microsoft FSX compiler, whereas we've just now included it to be the Lockheed Martin P3D V5 one. If you're using P3D version 4, 3, 2, 1, or 6, the same process is exactly the same, and you can use version 6 with FS Earth tiles. If you compile scenery using a certain SDK kit, say like version 5, you can use the output files in FSX and any version of P3D because the file structure is exactly the same, but the textures may have shading on them that are slightly different, particular to the sim you've made them for, but they will work within the other sims as well. Once you've done that, you can save here and exit out. We don't need this file anymore. So this has all been set up now. Basically, come out of here and create a folder, and I probably want to call it Ortho XP P3D, something like that, and create another one for Scene Proc. I call it Scene to Pro, just because that's what I like. Put that one in there and put that one in there, and then extract both of them into this folder. And once you've done, you can remove this zip file. Do it for both of them. And when you finish, you'll have these 3 folders and now output. Now, I want to talk about how P3D, just to give you a little bit more information, how P3D is created. So the world is created on a grid system, as you can see here, and each tiling grid within it has even smaller tiles. This is how the land class is put together. So when you're choosing where in the world you're going to be working within a single grid line, but there's many little tiles in between. This is kind of how the ortho is stitched together as well, and how the autogen is assigned. Autogen and ortho are, like I said, created on a tile system. The land class has many classifications. So within default P3D, there's something like 7 different models of a building, but there's something like 50 different textures that will texture wrap those models. The reason why there's so many different variations of buildings is because a Japanese building doesn't look like a Los Angeles building. There are region specific. And if you get add-ons like Buildings HD or TerraFlora, it expands the variety up to like nearly 100 for buildings and something like 30 for trees. I think the default tree variation is something like 14 different types, and you can actually see the variation of trees. If you go into the SDK kit folder, you can actually see these objects, actually see these assets here. If you go into the world auto generation renders, these are the default buildings that are available to you when you're creating your autogen. So knowing the specific code to place these down is kind of crucial in using scene proc, because it's all based on code. So you have to create a script that will tell the system which buildings to assign to what tile. This is how autogen is created, and you know, there's a lot of variety here. There's, like I said, the building shapes, there's probably about 4 to 7 different types, but the textures that they have assigned to them, there's multiple variations. So just something worth to know when you're creating using scene proc, because you can get very creative. Now, there is also animals in the SDK kit, so you could actually assign a tile to have a herd of horses or cows or, you know, giraffes or elephants assigned to a certain area, and have actual animals animated in the sim, as well as putting down trees and buildings. Now, these are all things we'll get to in the 3rd video, but I just think it's worth noting, like, knowing how the sim is built. It's based on a tile system of land class sort of descriptions of variety. And the photoreal is literally just a texture. Now, photoreal is great when you're at 10,000 plus feet above it, looking down at it. It looks fantastic. And it's how Microsoft wrap their world in the Bing data maps. And then they have Azure AI to place down the autogen stitched to those maps, and that's how they create their world. We're doing exactly the same process, but we're doing it in a smaller way, scaled down, more simplified tools, and it's a bit more crude, but it's exactly the same way as that sim was built as well. So effectively, you could turn your P3D sim into a Microsoft sim if you have the space and the patience, you know, to do it in. Photoreal is great, but the closer you get to photoreal, sadly, because the texture has a finite resolution attached to it, the closer you get to it, the blurrier and more pixelated it gets, and that's when it starts to break apart. Now, something to note about how, again, the world is built. The scenery library is done in order of priority. So photoreal technically would go near the bottom of the library, because your airports or your cities that are available from Aerosoft X would go on top of the photoreal, and then the airport would go on top of the city, and you would actually then have buildings coming through the photoreal. The photoreal completely eliminates the default generation of trees and buildings when you place photoreal down. So when you go in to see photoreal from the ground, it looks like you're on the moon. Because it's a flat texture and you're looking at it from the ground, you don't see buildings and trees except for the airport that you're sat at, because those have been hand placed. Any hand placed autogen for trees and buildings will show through photoreal mapping, but the default generation of trees and buildings that are spread as you load into the sim at the default level are not show through photoreal terrain, because photoreal is an add-on and only hand placed trees and buildings will show through the photoreal. So there are a lot of airports that Lockheed Martin have hand placed their objects on, and there's also a lot of cities that they've also hand placed particular buildings within. Those will all show through photoreal. So photoreal tends to look very flat, and this is why we're creating AutoGen in an automated way to hand place buildings and trees down, so your photoreal now has full 3D AutoGen. Because, like, if you're at 25,000 feet and you look down, you see buildings, you see trees, but these are on a flat texture. So the closer down you get to them, you realize that they're not 3D. It's still a flat texture, and the buildings now look like pancakes and the trees just look like blotches of green. And we want to remove that and actually put 3D objects in. So I'm going to show you the process, like I said, in the next 3 videos. I just wanted to kind of explain how things are made, and help you set up these programs first. So in the next 3 videos, we're getting straight to everything. So let's set up Ortho XP P3D now. So within the CFG file, everything, by the way, is done and laid out here. You run the program from the dist file here. You can install Image Magic here, which will give you full seasons on the ortho that this program creates, but we're not going to use this program for ortho. We're using this program for one simple purpose, and that is to access the OpenStreetMap data for the AutoGen placement, and that's it. We're not using this program the way it's meant to be used. You can use it to actually create photoreal as well in one easy step, but I tend to find it doesn't load very well. It doesn't give you the configuration FS Earth Tiles does. It has limitations, basically. So first off, we need to set up this file here, Ortho XP, the CFG. So I recommend extracting Scene to Pro as well. Or scene proc, sorry, extracting this folder here, because you're going to need to know the location of it. Scroll down in the CFG file here, and you want to come to ESP resample location, and this is again the same location that you instructed FS Earth Tiles in the previous. It's the same location that we instructed FS Earth Tiles in the world scenery folder, the world terrain folder. You've got the resample file. Take the address, Control C it, and place it here. So the address matches where the resample file is on your PC. Then you want to tell it where Scene Pro is, Scene Proc. So go into your Scene Proc folder, take the address here, Control C to copy, and then paste it here. The exe also needs to be there, which the exe for Scene Proc is down here. And also the same with the resample. It needs to know where that resample file is. Once you've done that, that's this pretty much set up. If you want to create photoreal using this program, make sure all these values that say create ESP say true, but we're only doing it for the AutoGen, so we don't really need that. But you want to make sure these all say true. The rest of this is fine at its default level. Save that and exit out, and that is Ortho XP set up. The next thing we need to do is set up Scene to Pro. Now, Scene Proc is, I think it stands for like Scenery Processor. But this is a automated process, and I just want to quickly show you this because it relies on scripts to get things working. So when you open up the program, Actually, yeah, when you open up the program, first you need to go to options and manually set again where the resample file is in your SDK kit, where the SHP to VEC is. When you click it, it's not going to automatically find it. You need to go and find it. It's in the world terrain, the SHP to vector, that one. Same with the resample, which we've done twice before, so you should know where that is. Also, you need to find the P3D X to MDL file. And there is only version 4 available, but I'm using it version 5, so the X to MDL there. Click that. I also repeat it for version 2. And then finally, the BGL comp file, which is in the world scenery folder, BGL comp. It's very crucial that you set these up correctly. Also, tick version 5 and put a black dot there. It's also recognized other sims on my system, and so it's put the pathway already in here. But if it's not in here, just go and find the pathway to your simulator so it knows exactly where it is. And then click save, and that is everything here set up correctly. Once you've set this up, like I said, everything is based off scripts. And I just want to show you what a script looks like, because these can be as involved as you want it to be, or you know, as sparse as you want. So this is a typical script. Now, I will include in my Discord a script you can run which will give you good results, but the amount of buildings, the amount of trees, the type of buildings, and the type of trees solely depends on what you script in this box. Now, you kind of have to know scripting a little bit, okay? But if you use my profile, it's an automated process. You just need to tell this program which profile it's going to use. The way you do that is by going back to Ortho XP, and in the Ortho XP configuration file, scroll down, and remember how we told the location of scene proc where it is? There is a screen proc script here. Now, basically, it should be set to default SPC. If you're using a script with a different name, just make sure that that name is here. Otherwise, this process will not work, because scene proc will be automatically triggered by Ortho XP to run. Yeah, I'll show you everything in that third video, but that's basically, once you've done this, you've set up these 3 programs and you were good to go. We can now get straight to the next video, which is FS Earth tiles and creating our photoreal mapping. Thank you so much for watching this introduction to this series on how to create your own TRUEEARTH products for free. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it serves a purpose of helping you create your own add-ons for P3D where developers aren't, and hopefully sparks a community of sharing each other's files, and we can build a P3D world of photoreal with full autogen somewhere shared in the on a server. Maybe that's the dream. But thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget, I give away sim market vouchers every single month. 50 euros of free flight sim add-ons can be yours. Just subscribe to my channel to be in with a chance to win. Leave comments down below in the P3D videos, and at the end of every month I go live with the vlog and announce the giveaway winner. Thank you so much for watching this, and the next video is already available. I'll link it here. Go watch it. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.